This video is about GEM4D and how to navigate the interface. Let's drag and drop a DXF file as basis for our discussion. When you do it the first time, you can change the coordinate system, but I'll keep to the default. The mouse actions works as follows. Use the left mouse button to rotate, the right mouse button to zoom in and out, and the middle mouse button, the wheel button, if you press it, you can pan, and if you scroll it, you will zoom. Double click anywhere on the triangulation to make that your new rotation point, and if you want to centralize the object within the scene, double click any place within the scene. Let's look at some general information points. When you hover the mouse over any one of the buttons, there's a tooltip that pops up and tells you something about the functionality of that button. Three components will be referred to often: toolbars, tabs, and the scene. There are three toolbars, one to the top, one to the left, and one to the right. These are the tabs, and as I change between them, you can see the interface changes quite substantially. This is the scene area where data is being represented by meshes or triangulations, normally consisting of polygons, lines, and points. Let's discuss the top toolbar. The scene controls aspects that affect the full scene area. The next four buttons is all about loading and saving information. The first one of the four to load DXF files, the third one to save DXF files. The second one is to import other file types, and the fourth one to export other file types. The markers and the mapping corresponds to the markers in mapping in the tabs, and we'll discuss that after. And the help functionality provides some general assistance on a few aspects. Next we'll look at the tabs mode, and you'll see the tabs changes across the whole interface. Doesn't matter where I make the selection. The main tab mode is the files and the layers mode. In this area, all the files that I load would be listed, and any of these files that I select or a selection of these files will be shown in the layers section directly below. This settings section looks very similar across the modes, and the information section stays the same, but the charts that's available changes across the different modes. The complex action section does not change between the modes, and it's largely applicable to the files and layers information. Let's talk about the left toolbar. These options affect all current and future objects within the scene. The first three buttons are all different camera options, starting with a camera orientation widget with the readings down the bottom, then a camera mode and settings, a camera quick orientations button, a mouse interaction mode button, a lighting button that changes the shading and the contrast, and lastly a scene background color button. Let's talk about the right toolbar. This is for mesh selection, manipulation, and single action tools. The first button is a selection mode toggle for scene selection. Button number 2 is a measurement tool for measurements and angles. Then a mapping tool for the creation of planar discs, a splitting and intersection tool that split meshes on planes or other meshes, then a toolbox that contains single action tools that create new objects, and lastly a button to color existing objects on defined functions. The complex actions have multiple options for selection. First, the clipping tool that creates sections that can be saved as separate DXF files. Then the grid tool that adds a customized grid to the scene. And lastly, the Move and Copy tab that either translate or translate and copy objects within the scene.